Welcome to Thriving Teacher Talk. I'm your host, Jillian Fernandez. I'm a former teacher from New York turned full-time mom and teacherpreneur on a mission to help you create a profitable and sustainable income selling your teaching resources or services. I'm here to make your life easier by giving you the best advice, trainings, and mindset shifts to grow your business, and most importantly, save you time and sanity. Good morning, afternoon, evening, or whenever you are listening to this. Thank you for joining me today on another episode of Thriving Teacher Talk. Today, I'm going to be talking about a hot topic that so many teacherpreneurs seem to be searching for answers on. The dreaded 3 words that seem to intimidate so many: search engine optimization, or SEO. If you were to Google unit rate resources right now, what would come up? Well, I did just that. And surprise, surprise, Teachers Pay Teachers is the first resource that comes up. Once you click on that link, it gives you pages and pages of resources created by teachers to help students learn unit rate. So what's the significance? Well, let me ask you a question. When you Google something or when you are in Teachers Pay Teachers looking for a resource, where do you look to find information that you are searching for? Do you go to the first page, the second page? How about the third and the fourth? What about the last page? Most likely, your answer was the first few pages. In fact, studies have shown that over 90% of people will not go past the first page in their searches. So why is this important for you? As a resource creator, you want to strive to be listed on one of the first few pages of Teachers Pay Teachers. So today we're going to dive into how we can help our businesses get more traffic and make more sales. So what is SEO and its importance? Before we get too far into this conversation, it's important to know what SEO is. SEO, or search engine optimization, is basically the steps you take to be sure that your product and descriptions are written so that the search engine ranks them as important. SEO is a beast, and creators are constantly trying to figure out the best way to write their descriptions and titles to increase their visibility. SEO does not need to be as complicated as people make it out to be, though. It's simply trying to use keywords to drive people to your TpT store or your resources. You know who your audience is, and you know your resources are helpful. But if others can't find your resources, then you're missing out on a big opportunity to make sales. This is what SEO is focused on. And you want to first target your ideal audience and figure out what they're searching for. Once you know the problem your resource is trying to solve, great. But now you need to also use keywords that make your page more credible than someone else's. This is when SEO comes into play. You're making your resource optimized for search engines. You need to put those keywords in your product description and title. So when your audience types a question or a topic in the search bar, Google and Teachers Pay Teachers give them your resource because they believe that you can fix their problem. This leads to more traffic and sales. So how does SEO drive sales? So let's look a little deeper as to how SEO is one of the main components to getting sales. SEO sounds really intimidating, but it's really very simple. We make it way more complicated than it needs to be. Think about the words or phrases that would be searchable and describe the product that you just created. Now, it's tempting to want to use fun and creative or cutesy titles, but that won't help people find your product. How do you get people to find your activity out of the thousands of others that are listed? You want to start by being relevant. So for example, don't label it a math lesson if it isn't. This is misleading and it's going to frustrate your potential customers. Figure out the main keywords for your title and then add some keywords in naturally in the first few sentences of your product description. For example, if I created a task card activity on unit rate, the title should be very specific and searchable. The title might end up being unit rates with complex fractions task card activity. Now, potential buyers know exactly what I'm offering. And if they only searched unit rates activity, they would still find my product. They might also find it if they just searched for complex fractions activity. The title is clear and doesn't have any unnecessary or untrue information. The next thing to think about is the first few sentences of your product description, which is also known as the snippet. You want to use those same keywords again at least one time, maybe twice. The description for my product could be something like the following. Do your students struggle with practicing unit rate with complex fractions? This task card activity is perfect for getting your students engaged in applying unit rates with complex fractions in a fun way without using a typical worksheet. Now notice I didn't repeat the phrase unit rate with complex fractions in an unnatural way. I used it in the first sentence and I was able to use it in the next but it wasn't awkward. If I had repeated it one more time, it wouldn't be in a natural way that I would speak about the product, and it would be considered something called keyword stuffing. Keyword stuffing is when you add the word into your description or post it too many times. You're kind of like shoving the word into every sentence and it doesn't read well, isn't natural. If you wouldn't speak it that way, then don't write it that way. It's actually frowned upon in the TpT search algorithm to use keyword stuffing. The term's also used when you're talking about a topic, but you throw in like other topics to see if you can get that product or post to show up when someone searches for some like popular term other than what your resource is even about. You might have come across this before after searching for a key term like on Google, and you start to look through the results and not all of them are relevant or pertinent to what you've searched for. Most likely that term is like somewhere else within the text. So you need your keywords to be the same set of words or phrase, and it needs to be found in your title and your snippet, which is that first few lines of your description. But picking those keywords to use is the tricky part. You might not always know what keywords or terms to use. In your head, it might make sense to call them unit rate task cards, but what if someone searches for unit rate activities? They are essentially the same thing, but to a search engine, they're two different things. So knowing your audience does help with this. If you have an idea for what they might search for or what you would search for to find that resource, then use that phrase. You could also use the two terms interchangeably in your title and your description. That would work too. Then you cover two keywords at once. If it's just two, then it's not keyword stuffing. You don't want to use more than two though. You have that basic concept described well and you've used it naturally, your customers will find you. The key to using that search term and using it well is to make sure it's something that others would search for when they're looking for that resource or information. I'm going to give you some more tips for SEO for Teachers Pay Teachers and writing those descriptions and titles well. But first, a message from our sponsor, my premier course, Thriving Teacher Academy. Now, Thriving Teacher Academy was specifically designed to help teacherpreneurs develop a brand with impact, streamline your creation process, be confident in your design and quality, market effectively, and so much more. This is seriously the course I wish I had when I started my TpT store, and it comes with so many incredible practical tutorials, templates, and tips, plus the most amazing private Facebook community. Like, it seriously is. Now, doors will be opening for the Academy in the summer, but you can learn more and join the waitlist at www.jillianfernandez. That's all one word, jillianfernandez.com/thriving teacher academy. And you can find the link in the show notes. I can't wait to see you there. And now back to talking about SEO. Now, using SEO sounds great when writing descriptions and titles for your resources, but it's also one of those things that are like an easier said than done kind of thing. And I get that. It takes a long time to master SEO. And the thing is, SEO is an ongoing process. But here's the one main thing that you can do right now to help you bring more traffic to your store and convert your views into sales. My main tip is use the TpT search bar. There are so many resources out there that claim that they're the best when it comes to researching SEO. Some of these resources cost upwards of $200 a month. The thing is, your biggest resource when it comes to researching keywords is right in front of you. Use the Teachers Pay Teachers search bar for help. When you click on the search bar, you're going to see keywords that are popular right now. Now, if those words don't work for your particular resource, begin typing in a word for your product and it's going to show you some popular terms. So I decided to do that with unit rate. When I typed in unit rate into the search bar, those keywords came up. Now I can use those keywords in the description for my product. Then when people look for unit rate and search for those types of keywords, my product will be ranked higher in that search engine. As I said before, there are keyword research tools that help with keyword research, but they aren't as reliable for key terms that are used on Teachers Pay Teachers. Terms that are searched frequently on TpT aren't necessarily what the rest of the world is searching on the internet for. So take that into consideration if you do use a search tool to help you pick your keywords, or use your better judgment and think of how you would talk to your teacher friends about a product. Most likely those are the same terms and topics that other teachers are using when they search. So in a nutshell, take your time when writing out your titles and your descriptions. Think about what others would type in the search to find your product. And these are the keywords that you want to spread throughout your listing in a natural way. It's as simple as that. Now, that was a lot of information, right? Did you know what SEO was before this podcast episode? And did you know how important it was? Now, do you have any tips for teacherpreneurs when writing out your descriptions and titles? I would love to hear from you. So come let us know your thoughts on today's episode in our free Thriving Teacher Facebook group. You can find that link in the show notes as always. I can't wait to chat with you next time as we learn and grow our store together. If you loved this episode, be sure to subscribe so you can catch all new episodes. Leave a review if something resonated or just send me a DM. Thank you for letting me into your business and your life today. We're going to love growing together as you create a profitable and sustainable income, selling your teaching resources or services. I'm so honored to be here to make your life a little bit easier with the best advice, training, and mindset shifts to grow your business and most importantly, save you time and sanity. I'll see you in the next one.